Welcome to History Uncovered, where we delve into the stories and events that have shaped our world. If you're a fan of history, be sure to hit that subscribe button below. We release new videos every day, so you'll always have something new to discover. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when our latest episodes are released, and you'll be supporting us in our mission to bring fascinating stories from the past to a wider audience. In this episode, we journey back to the cradle of Western civilization, to the shimmering Aegean Sea and the majestic city-states of ancient Greece. A land of philosophers, warriors, and legends, Greece was the beacon of knowledge and culture in the ancient world. But its very existence was once threatened by the colossal might of the Persian Empire. The Battle of Marathon, a name that resonates with valor and defiance, stands as a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Greeks. Against overwhelming odds, a force of Athenians and their allies took a stand on the Marathon plains, facing an enemy that was vast in number and unmatched in ambition. This was not just a battle for territory, it was a clash of cultures, ideologies, and the very essence of what it meant to be free. From the bustling agora of Athens to the strategic councils of Persia, from the training grounds of the Hoplites to the vast camps of the Persian immortals, we will traverse the landscapes and mindscapes of this pivotal moment in history. We'll uncover the strategies, the heroes, and the tales that have been passed down through millennia. So, prepare to be immersed in a world of phalanxes and war cries, of cunning generals and brave soldiers, as we recount the day when Marathon became more than just a place, but a symbol of hope and resilience. Join us on this epic journey, as we relive the Battle of Marathon, a confrontation that forever changed the trajectory of the Western world. In 490 BC, the vast landscapes of Greece witnessed a confrontation that would echo through the annals of history, the Battle of Marathon. This wasn't just another skirmish, it was a defining moment in the first Persian invasion of Greece. On one side stood the proud citizens of Athens, bolstered by their allies from Plataea. Opposing them was a formidable Persian force, led by the strategic minds of Darius and Artaphernes. This battle was Persia's ambitious attempt, under the reign of King Darius I, to bring Greece under its expansive empire. But the Greeks, despite being outnumbered, handed the Persians a resounding defeat, setting a new course for the Greco-Persian Wars. But what led to this monumental clash? The seeds were sown during the Ionian Revolt. Athens and Eretria, in a bold move, had supported the Ionian cities in their quest to overthrow the Persian yoke. Their audacity led them to capture and set ablaze the city of Sardis. However, victory was short-lived, and they faced a brutal retaliation, suffering heavy losses. Enraged by this affront, Darius made a solemn vow to raze both Athens and Eretria to the ground. As the historian Herodotus recounts, Darius, in his fervor, shot an arrow towards the heavens, imploring Zeus for vengeance against the Athenians. Such was his obsession that he even instructed a servant to remind him daily of his vendetta against Athens. Now, to understand the gravity of this situation, one must recognize the dominant powers of that era, Sparta and Athens. As the Ionian Revolt met its tragic end at the Battle of Lade in 494 BC, Darius set his sights on Greece. By 490 BC, a naval task force, helmed by Darius and Artaphernes, was dispatched across the Aegean. Their mission? To conquer the Cyclades and then exact revenge on Athens and Eretria. Their campaign was initially successful, capturing Eretria after a siege. With Eretria subdued, the Persian force set its sights on Attica, making landfall near the town of Marathon. The Athenians, ever resilient, rallied to Marathon, strategically blocking the plain's exits. In a desperate bid for reinforcements, they sent word to the Spartans. But fate had other plans. The Spartans, embroiled in a religious festival, declined the call to arms. Undeterred, the Athenians and their Plataean allies chose their battleground wisely. The marshes and rugged terrain rendered the Persian cavalry ineffective. The Athenian general, Miltiades, saw an opportunity. Launching a full-scale assault on the primarily missile-based Persian troops, he strengthened his flanks, drawing the elite Persian fighters into his center. This tactical genius led to the envelopment and subsequent routing of the Persian forces. Panic ensued, and the Persians fled in disarray towards their ships, suffering heavy casualties. This defeat signaled the end of Darius's ambitions in Greece. Although he began preparations for another invasion, revolts and his eventual death halted these plans. His successor, Xerxes I, would later renew these ambitions, leading to another invasion in 480 BC. Marathon wasn't just a battle, it was a revelation. It showed the Greeks that the mighty Persian Empire was not invincible. More importantly, it demonstrated that victories could be achieved without the famed Spartans. Athens emerged as a beacon of hope and resilience. This triumph paved the way for 2 centuries of classical Greek civilization, a period that profoundly influenced Western society. Thus, the Battle of Marathon stands not just as a military victory, but as a pivotal moment that shaped the trajectory of European and Mediterranean history. In the early days of the Greco-Persian Wars, the Ionian Revolt marked the beginning of a series of confrontations between the Greeks and Persians. But this revolt was not just a standalone event, it was a culmination of the long-standing interactions between these 2 ancient civilizations. By 500 BC, the Persian Empire, still in its infancy, was aggressively expanding. Yet, it was also grappling with internal revolts. Darius, the Persian king, had ascended the throne through usurpation and had spent significant time quelling rebellions against his rule. Before the Ionian Revolt even began, Darius had already set his sights on Europe. He had successfully brought Thrace under his dominion and turned Macedon into a Persian vassal. Given the political volatility of ancient Greece, further expansion into this region seemed almost inevitable. But beyond mere territorial ambitions, the Ionian Revolt posed a direct threat to the very fabric of the Persian Empire. The mainland Greek states, with their potential for resistance, were seen as a looming danger. Darius, therefore, was determined to both pacify the Aegean region and punish those who had ignited the Ionian Revolt. The revolt itself began with a failed expedition against Naxos, a joint effort between the Persian satrap Artaphernes and the Milesian ruler, Aristagoras. Following this setback, Artaphernes sought to depose Aristagoras. However, sensing the impending threat, Aristagoras renounced his position, turning Miletus into a democracy. This wave of democratization spread rapidly, with other Ionian cities overthrowing their Persian-installed rulers. Aristagoras then sought support from mainland Greece, with Athens and Eretria responding positively. The Athenian involvement in the revolt was rooted in a complex web of events. The late 6th century BC saw the establishment of Athenian democracy. In 510 BC, with Spartan assistance, the Athenians had ousted their tyrant, Hippias. This tyrant sought refuge in Sardis, at the court of the Persian satrap, Artaphernes, promising to deliver Athens to the Persians if they reinstated him. Meanwhile, in Athens, a power struggle ensued between Isagoras, backed by Sparta, and Cleisthenes, a prominent Athenian leader. Cleisthenes, in a strategic move, rallied the Athenian populace, effectively sidelining Isagoras. This newfound Athenian self-governance fostered a deep-seated aversion to any form of external domination. However, the political landscape was volatile. Cleomenes, the Spartan king, attempted to intervene in Athenian affairs, leading the Athenians to seek Persian assistance. But when the Persians demanded a token of submission, the Athenians rebuffed them, setting the stage for conflict. With Athens now an adversary, the Persians were more than willing to support the Ionian Revolt. The Athenians, along with Eretrians, dispatched a fleet to Asia Minor. They managed to surprise Artaphernes, sacking the city of Sardis. However, their success was short-lived, as they faced a swift Persian counterattack. Despite their efforts yielding little strategic advantage, the audacity of Athens and Eretria earned them the ire of Darius. By 494 BC, the Ionian Revolt was effectively crushed at the Battle of Lade. This victory allowed Darius to consolidate his hold over the eastern Aegean and the Propontis, regions previously outside the Persian sphere. With Ionia pacified, the stage was set for the Persians to target Greece, particularly Athens and Eretria. In 492 BC, Darius dispatched Mardonius to Greece. While he successfully brought Thrace and Macedonia under tighter Persian control, a storm thwarted his naval ambitions. Undeterred, by 490 BC, Darius launched another expedition, this time led by Artaphernes and the Median admiral, Datis. Their mission was clear: integrate the Cyclades into the empire, punish Naxos, and then move against Eretria and Athens. After a series of successful campaigns, including the subjugation of Naxos, the Persians laid siege to Eretria, eventually capturing and razing it. With Eretria subdued, their gaze turned towards Athens, setting the stage for the iconic Battle of Marathon. In the shadowy plains of Marathon, approximately 27 kilometers northeast of Athens, the Persian forces made their landing. Guided by the advice of the exiled Athenian tyrant, Hippias, who was accompanying them, they chose this strategic location. The Athenians, under the leadership of Miltiades, a general seasoned in battles against the Persians, swiftly moved to block the two main exits from the Marathon plain, preventing the Persians from advancing further inland. During this time, Athens dispatched its finest runner, Phidippus, on a crucial mission to Sparta. His task was to seek assistance from the formidable Spartan army. However, upon his arrival, he was informed that due to the sacred festival of Carnea, the Spartans couldn't march to war until the full moon rose. This meant that Athens couldn't expect any reinforcements for at least 10 days. However, a glimmer of hope appeared in the form of 1,000 Hoplites from the city of Plataea, who joined the Athenians, bolstering their spirits. For about 5 days, the two armies found themselves in a tense standoff across the Marathon plain. The Athenians, aware that with each passing day the Spartans were drawing nearer, used the time to their advantage. The Athenian camp's flanks were fortified either by a dense grove of trees or a barrier of stakes, depending on interpretations. The Athenian leadership at Marathon consisted of 10 strategoi, or generals, each representing one of the 10 Athenian tribes. Miltiades was one of these strategoi. Additionally, the war archon, Callimachus, was in overall command, having been elected by the entire citizen body. According to Herodotus, the command rotated daily among the strategoi. Miltiades, eager to engage the Persians, reportedly waited for his turn to command before making any decisive moves. This account, however, raises questions, as the Athenians had little strategic advantage in attacking before the Spartans' arrival. The exact trigger for the battle remains a subject of debate among historians. One theory posits that the Persian cavalry, for reasons unknown, left Marathon, prompting the Greeks to seize the opportunity and launch an attack. This theory is supported by the notable absence of any mention of Persian cavalry in Herodotus's account of the battle. Another theory suggests that the Persians initiated the attack, prompting the Greeks to counteract. One prevalent variation of the first theory suggests that the Persian cavalry was in the process of boarding ships, possibly to launch a naval assault on an undefended Athens. This would align with Herodotus's account that post-Marathon, the Persian army aimed to sail around Cape Sounion to strike Athens directly. The second theory suggests that the Persians, growing impatient, decided to take the offensive, prompting the Athenians to respond in kind. While the exact sequence of events remains shrouded in mystery, it's evident that some form of Persian activity around the 5th day catalyzed the iconic Battle of Marathon. It's also plausible that both theories hold some truth. The Persians might have dispatched their cavalry to Athens while simultaneously advancing their infantry at Marathon, leading to the Athenian counterattack. Herodotus, the ancient historian, often provided dates based on the lunisolar calendar, a system that was not uniform but varied among Greek city-states. This poses challenges for modern historians trying to pinpoint exact dates for events. However, with the help of astronomical calculations, it's possible to convert these dates to the proleptic Julian calendar, a system that's more familiar and widely used in historical contexts. Philip August Bach, in 1855, undertook such a conversion and determined that the Battle of Marathon occurred on September 12, 490 BC, according to the Julian calendar. This date has since become the conventionally accepted one. However, there's a caveat. The exact timing of the Spartan festival, which played a crucial role in the events leading up to the battle, is not definitively known. If the Spartan calendar was, in fact, a month ahead of the Athenian calendar, then the battle would have taken place a month earlier, on August 12, 490 BC. Thus, while Bacchus' date is widely accepted, the potential discrepancy with the Spartan calendar means there remains a level of uncertainty about the exact date of the Battle of Marathon. The size of the Athenian army at the Battle of Marathon has been a topic of discussion among historians. While Herodotus, the primary source for many details of the battle, does not provide a specific number, other ancient historians have given estimates. Cornelius Nepos, Pausanias, and Plutarch all concur that the Athenian force was composed of 9,000 Athenians and an additional 1,000 soldiers from Plataea. On the other hand, Justin suggests a slightly larger force, with 10,000 Athenians and the same 1,000 Plataeans. Interestingly, the figures provided by these historians align closely with the number of troops Herodotus mentions were sent by the Athenians and Plataeans to the Battle of Plataea, which took place 11 years after Marathon. Adding another layer of depth to our understanding of the composition of the Athenian army, Pausanias observed on a monument dedicated to the battle the names of former slaves. These individuals had been granted their freedom in exchange for their military service, highlighting the diverse makeup of the Athenian forces. Modern historians, after evaluating these ancient sources, generally consider the figures provided by Cornelius Nepos, Pausanias, and Plutarch to be reasonable estimates. When we look at the broader context, the numbers make sense. The population of Attica, the region governed by Athens, stood at around 315,000 during this period, including slaves. Given this, the Athenian army's size at both the battles of Marathon and Plataea would have constituted about 3% of the total population. This percentage is a plausible proportion for an ancient city-state mobilizing its forces for a significant battle. The vastness and might of the Persian force dispatched to Marathon has always been a topic of intense debate among historians. Herodotus, our primary ancient source, tells us that Darius's fleet was made up of an impressive 600 triremes. But when it comes to the size of the infantry, the accounts vary widely. Herodotus himself refrains from giving a specific number, only describing it as of large infantry that was well packed. Simonides, a contemporary poet, estimated the force to be 200,000 strong. Meanwhile, the Roman historian, Cornelius Nepos, believed there were 200,000 infantry and an additional 10,000 cavalry. He further speculated that only half of these forces engaged in the battle, while the rest were aboard the fleet navigating around Cape Sounion. Later writers, Plutarch and Pausanias, estimated the force to be 300,000, a figure also supported by the Suda dictionary. Other sources, like Plato and Lysias, suggest even larger numbers, up to 500,000, with Justinus proposing the largest figure of 600,000. Modern historians, after sifting through these ancient accounts and considering logistical and strategic factors, generally lean towards more conservative estimates. They suggest the Persian infantry might have numbered between 20,000 to 100,000, with a consensus around 25,000. As for the cavalry, the general estimate is about 1,000. Darius's fleet was not just vast, but also diverse, drawing from various parts of the expansive Achaemenid Empire. Herodotus mentions contingents from Ionia and Aeolia. However, it's believed these groups might not have directly participated in the battle, possibly remaining aboard the ships. This is echoed in Herodotus's statement that Datis, leading the expedition, sailed against Eretria first, accompanied by these Ionians and Aeolians. Delving deeper into the composition of the Persian forces that engaged in the battle, Herodotus provides insights into their ethnic makeup. He specifically highlights the Persians and the Sacae, or Scythians, who were positioned at the heart of the Achaemenid battle line. This central force initially had the upper hand against the Greeks but met their match when the Greek wings, having defeated the Persian flanks, converged on the center. From a strategic perspective, the Athenians faced significant challenges at Marathon. To confront the Persian onslaught, they had to rally every available hoplite. Even with this full mobilization, they were likely outnumbered by at least a 2-to-1 margin. This massive deployment left Athens vulnerable. Any secondary assault would find the city's defenses thin, and a direct attack would be nearly impossible to repel. A defeat at Marathon would spell disaster for Athens, as no backup Athenian force existed. Their strategy, therefore, was to keep the Persians contained within the Marathon plain, blocking any exit and preventing any flanking maneuvers. However, the Athenians did have some advantages. They were under no immediate pressure to engage the Persians directly since they had successfully trapped them in the Marathon plain. Time was on their side. Every passing day brought the formidable Spartans closer to joining them. With so much at stake, the Athenians adopted a defensive posture. Their hoplites, while formidable in close combat, were susceptible to cavalry charges, and the Persians had a significant cavalry presence. This vulnerability further solidified the Athenians' decision to remain on the defensive. On the Persian side, their strategy was likely shaped by the tactical realities on the ground. Their infantry, while nimble, lacked the heavy armor of the hoplites, making them ill-suited for direct confrontation, a fact that would be underscored in subsequent battles like Thermopylae and Plataea. Given the strong defensive position the Athenians had established at Marathon, the Persians were understandably hesitant to attack them head-on. The Athenian camp was strategically positioned on a spur of Mount Agrioliki overlooking the Marathon plain, with remnants of its fortifications still visible today. The catalyst for the battle remains a subject of debate, but it's clear that something shifted the balance, prompting the Athenians to take the offensive. If the absence of Persian cavalry theory holds, the Athenians would have seen an opportunity to strike without the threat of a devastating cavalry charge. However, if the Persians initiated the attack, the Athenians would have had to respond. Given the Persian army's composition, which included a significant number of missile troops, a static defense would have been disadvantageous for the Athenians. Their strength lay in close combat, and they would have sought to engage in melee as quickly as possible. If the Persians did indeed initiate the confrontation after days of hesitation, it might have been due to several factors. They might have been aware or suspected that Athenian reinforcements were on the way. Or, perhaps, they felt the pressure to secure a victory, knowing they couldn't remain at Marathon indefinitely. At the moment when the two armies stood poised for battle at Marathon, they were separated by a distance of roughly 1,500 meters, or about 8 stadia, as described by ancient sources. Miltiades, the Athenian general, made a strategic decision regarding the formation of his troops. He directed that the center of the Greek formation, which was comprised of the Leontes tribe under the leadership of Themistocles and the Antiochus tribe led by Aristides, be arranged in a depth of just 4 ranks. In contrast, the tribes on the flanks were positioned in ranks that were twice as deep, at 8 ranks. Modern historians and tacticians have speculated on the reasoning behind this formation. Some believe that Miltiades might have been attempting to lure the Persians into a trap, where the Greek center would appear weaker and thus enticing the Persians to focus their attack there. This would allow the stronger Greek flanks to then envelop and crush the Persian center in a double pincer movement. However, this theory implies a level of tactical sophistication and training that the Greeks might not have had at this time. Such advanced tactical maneuvers were not commonly seen in Greek warfare until the Battle of Leuctra in 371 BC. Another plausible explanation for this formation is more straightforward. Miltiades might have simply been trying to ensure that the Athenian line matched the length of the Persian line. By doing so, he would prevent the Athenians from being outflanked by the Persians. This would be a more direct and immediate concern, ensuring that the Greek line could meet the Persian line evenly across the battlefield. The Battle of Marathon was a pivotal moment in history, and the tactics employed by the Athenians under Miltiades showcased their determination and innovation. As the Athenian forces prepared to engage the Persians, Miltiades gave a simple yet powerful command, "At them." This straightforward directive set in motion one of the most memorable charges in ancient warfare. Herodotus, the ancient historian, paints a dramatic picture of the Athenians, heavily armored as hoplites, running the entire distance to the Persian lines. Given the weight and encumbrance of their armor, many modern scholars find this claim hard to believe. It's more plausible that the Athenians marched steadily until they reached a point where they were vulnerable to Persian archers, approximately 200 meters away. At this critical juncture, they likely accelerated into a run, closing the distance rapidly to engage in hand-to-hand combat. Another theory posits that the Athenians might have initially sprinted in a more dispersed formation up to the 200-meter mark, then regrouped into their phalanx formation to engage the enemy. This rapid advance was a novel tactic for the Greeks, likely adopted in response to the Persian army's reliance on missile troops, primarily archers. The Persians, for their part, were taken aback by the Athenians' audacious charge. They had expected the Greeks to be paralyzed by fear, especially given the formidable reputation of the Medes, a significant component of the Persian forces. However, the Athenians, displaying remarkable courage, not only withstood the psychological pressure but also braved the barrage of arrows raining down upon them. Their armor protected them from the worst of the missile fire, and they pressed on, determined to engage the Persians in close combat. As the two forces clashed, the Greeks, driven by their resolve and innovative tactics, began to turn the tide of the battle, marking a significant moment in the Greco-Persian Wars. The Battle of Marathon reached its climax as the Persian center, overwhelmed and outmaneuvered, broke into a frenzied retreat towards their ships. The Greeks, sensing victory, pursued them relentlessly. In their haste and unfamiliarity with the local terrain, many Persians ran headlong into the nearby swamps. There, trapped and disoriented, an untold number met their end, swallowed by the marshy depths. The Athenians, driven by the momentum of their charge, continued their pursuit all the way to the shoreline where the Persian ships were anchored. In the ensuing chaos, they managed to seize 7 Persian triremes. One particularly dramatic episode from the battle's aftermath, as recounted by Herodotus, tells of Cynaegirus, the brother of the famed playwright Aeschylus. In a display of unparalleled bravery, Cynaegirus dashed into the sea and grabbed hold of a Persian ship, attempting to drag it ashore. But his heroic act was cut short when a Persian crew member spotted him and severed his hand, leading to Cynaegirus's tragic demise. When the dust settled and the dead were counted, the scale of the Persian defeat became clear. According to Herodotus, the bodies of 6,400 Persians littered the battlefield. This number doesn't account for those who perished in the swamps or those who might have been lost at sea during the hasty retreat. In stark contrast, the Athenians lost 192 of their bravest, while their allies from Plataea suffered 11 casualties. Among the Athenian fallen were notable figures like the war archon Callimachus and the general Stesilaos. The Battle of Marathon was not just a military victory, it was a statement of Greek resilience and a testament to the prowess of the Athenian fighting spirit. The Battle of Marathon stands as a pivotal moment in ancient warfare, and the reasons for the Greek victory have been the subject of much debate and analysis. Several factors contributed to this unexpected triumph against the mighty Persian Empire. Firstly, equipment played a significant role. According to the historian Herodotus, the Greeks had the advantage in this area. While the Persians were known for their archers and light infantry, the Greeks, particularly the Athenians, were equipped with sturdy leather or linen armor. This gave them a level of protection that was superior to the Persians' lighter gear. Tactics were another crucial element. The Greeks, especially the Hoplites, were masters of hand-to-hand combat, having honed their skills over generations. Their phalanx formation, a tight-knit, shielded wall of spears and soldiers, was a formidable force on the battlefield. The Persians, on the other hand, were more accustomed to ranged combat and skirmishes, not the brutal close-quarters combat that the Greeks excelled in. The strategic decision by the Athenians to thin their center, ensuring their line matched the length of the Persian army, was not just a tactical maneuver. It was a calculated risk that paid off. When the Persian center tried to regroup after realizing their wings were faltering, they found themselves trapped, flanked by the Greek wings that had already seen victory. Lazenby, in his 1993 analysis, emphasized the sheer courage of the Greek soldiers. Their determination and bravery, especially in the face of a rain of arrows and a numerically superior enemy, were instrumental in their success. As Lazenby puts it, the amateur Greek soldiers displayed an extraordinary courage, moving forward even under a hail of arrows and making strategic decisions in the heat of battle that led to their victory. Vic Hurley, another historian, pointed out the Persian army's composition at Marathon as a significant factor. The Persians failed to deploy a well-rounded force, relying heavily on infantry bowmen without the necessary support of cavalry or chariots. This lack of a diverse military force made them vulnerable to the Greeks' aggressive tactics. In essence, the Battle of Marathon was not just a clash of two armies, but a convergence of superior equipment, tactics, and sheer bravery on the part of the Greeks. Their victory was a testament to their resilience, strategy, and the indomitable spirit of the amateur Athenian soldier. After the fierce battle at Marathon, the Persian fleet, according to Herodotus, navigated around Cape Sounion, aiming to strike Athens directly. Some historians believe this move might have been made before the battle itself. Regardless, the Athenians, sensing the looming threat to their city, hastened back to defend it. Leaving two of their tribes to guard the Marathon battlefield under Aristides' command, the rest of the Athenian forces made their way to the city. Their swift return thwarted the Persians' attempt to land, forcing them to retreat to Asia. Amidst this, there were whispers of a conspiracy involving the Achaemenids, a prominent Athenian family, who were rumored to have given a shield signal post-battle. The true nature and intent of this signal remained shrouded in mystery. The following days saw the arrival of the Spartan army at Marathon. Despite their late appearance, they acknowledged and praised the Athenians for their remarkable victory. The fallen heroes of Marathon, both Athenian and Plataean, were honored with burials on the battlefield, marked by two mounds. An epitaph by Simonides graced the tomb of the Athenians, commemorating their valor. Meanwhile, Darius, the Persian king, was already mobilizing a massive army, intending to conquer Greece once and for all. However, a revolt in Egypt in 486 BC disrupted his plans. As he was preparing to quash the rebellion, Darius passed away, and his son, Xerxes I, ascended the throne. After suppressing the Egyptian revolt, Xerxes swiftly resumed preparations for the invasion of Greece. His grand campaign began in 480 BC, and initially, the Persians tasted success at Thermopylae and Artemisium. However, their fortunes reversed with a defeat at the naval battle of Salamis, after which Xerxes razed Athens. The subsequent year witnessed the end of the Persian expedition with a resounding Greek victory at the Battle of Plataea. Thank you for watching this episode of History Uncovered. We delve deep into the annals of history to bring you the riveting tale of the Battle of Marathon and the relentless tussle between the Greeks and Persians. If you found this video informative and engaging, please like and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories from the past. Your support helps us uncover and share more such tales. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications so that you never miss a new video. Until next time, keep exploring the pages of history with us.